Good day, class. Today we are going to draw histograms. A histogram is a graph that can display data from our frequency table. So basically we're going to take data we did yesterday and we're going to put it from our frequency table and put it in a histogram. Okay. It looks like a bar graph. If you look below, I gave you two examples. The height of each bar shows the frequency of the data in the interval. Okay. There are no gaps between the bars, and the bars are usually the same width. Okay. So our x-axis is our interval, and the tally marks are going to be our y-axis. Okay. All right, let's draw some histograms. All right, the first one here is one we did yesterday, but we're going to go ahead and put it in a histogram. I went ahead and put them in order. It's the same thing as frequency tables. You have to have them in order. Okay. The first one, we're going to do interval sizes of 6. All right, so interval sizes of 6 is what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my x and y coordinate. Now, our histograms are always in your quadrant 1. Okay. Over here on my y-axis is going to be the frequency. Okay. My x-axis is going to be the hours TV was watched. Okay. Always label your axes. Okay. So the bottom, your x-axis is going to be the frequency that the hour or the interval, and your y-axis is going to be the frequency. Okay, so we're going to do interval size of 6. All right, so my first one is going to be 0 to 5. That's interval size of 6. The second one is going to be 6, okay, to 11. Okay. Try to keep them the same size. It's not a huge deal, but and then 12 to 17, and then 18 to 23. Okay. All right, and what you're going to do when you do a histogram is you're going to count how many times you had 0 to 5 hours. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 6 times that happened. So on my frequency table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we can label these. All right, so my frequency table for 0 to 5 is going to go up to 6. Right. The next one's 6 to 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's only going to go up to 5. All right. And then 12 to 17 was 1, 2, and 3. So it's going to go up to where 3 is. All right. And then this one only had 1 at 23. Okay. All right. So there's your frequency table turned into a histogram. Okay, all right, now we're going to do a histogram with the home run frequency table we did yesterday, but we're going to do intervals of 5, okay? So I went ahead and put them in order again, and I already drew my histogram, quadrant 1, so I have frequency as my y-axis, and home runs are my x-axis. So we're going to start, we're going to do interval sizes of 5. So my first one's going to be 2, and if it's interval sizes of 5, okay, it's going to go to 6. Our next interval would start at 7. Okay, interval sizes of 5. So we're going to add 4 and we get 11. Okay, and then we're going to go 12 to 16. And I need to get up to 17, so I'm going to do one more. Extend that out. 17, even though we have 17, we still need the interval size to be the same, which would go to 21. Okay. All right, so our histogram, 2 to 6, we need to know how many times we have 2 to 6. So I'm going to go ahead and draw some. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, all right, between 2 to 6, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to draw, line up to 4. Between 7 and 11, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then between 12 and 16, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that should look like the first one. And then last one, 17, I have 1. Okay, so there's your histogram. All right, frequency tables for home runs with interval sizes of 5. What do you think would happen if I did an interval size of 10? Okay, or an interval size of 2? All right. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is histograms and if they're uniform, symmetric, or skewed. Uniform, think of in the military, everyone's in uniform, so everything should look the same. So a good example of a uniform histogram is number 5. This is uniform. Okay, all my little frequencies, my intervals are pretty much the same. Okay, now number 6, they're not all the same. Okay, so the next two are symmetric or skewed. Symmetric means if I draw a line, a vertical line, it's going to look the same on both sides. Okay, if I draw a vertical line here, would these two look the same? Okay, no. So this is not symmetric, it's not uniform, this is skewed. Okay, it's also what we call skewed left. Okay, all skewed graphs have what we call a tail. Okay, and the tail, where the tail is, tells you which way it's skewed. So our graph is sort of going like this. So this is the tail. Okay, so that's skewed left. Okay, all right, let's look at number 7. Okay, it's not uniform. They're not all looking the same. If I draw a line, it's not symmetric. Okay, so this is skewed. Okay, and if I have, where would the tail be? Okay, the tail is to the right, so this is skewed right. Okay, number 8. It's not uniform. They're not all the same. If I draw a line down the center, does it look the same on both sides? And it does. So this is an example of a uniform histogram. Okay? So you have uniform, symmetric, and then you have skewed left or skewed right. Skewed determines where the tail is. Alright, last one we're going to do is we're just going to look at a graph. So take a look at this. This is the annual beach trips. So my y-axis is my frequency, or the number of responses they got from their letter. And then my x-axis is the number of trips that people took. Okay? So my first question is, how many responses were there for the 50 to 74 trips? So that would be this one here. Okay, so there's the interval of 50 to 74. How many responses were there? So we're going to go over here and we look. Okay, and it's about 10. You could say 11. It's real hard to see where that line is, but I'm going to say 11. Okay, so 11 people responded that took 50 to 74 trips. Okay, get rid of that. All right, the second one, what interval? Okay, so when we're talking about interval, we're talking about our x-axis. What interval represents the greatest number of responses? Okay, so my y-axis, okay, is the number of responses, and my x-axis is the intervals. So the interval that represents the greatest number of responses is the interval that's the biggest or the tallest, and that would be the 25 to 49. Okay. All right, next question. Is the graph uniform, symmetric, or skewed? So if we draw a line, okay, is it symmetric? No. And it's not uniform because they all don't look the same, so this is skewed. Okay, and not only is it going to be skewed, but which side of the graph is the tail on? And the tail, okay, is on the right side. So this is skewed right. Okay. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys in class.